This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Alex and Derek from All the Right Grapes. How are you today, gentlemen?
Just great, thank you.
Now, we're going to speak a little bit about All the Right Grapes. Where did the inspiration for your agency come from?
I have a bit of a background in the wine agency business where I was with Divine for many years. But I had always intentions of going out on my own and doing this myself at one point with the wines that I care for and like. It started all with sherry, which is sort of my area of passion and my area of interest and expertise. I brought some in at the Vine, but then when I decided to go on my own, the sherries became sort of a core piece of the agency, as well as other Spanish wines.
And Alex, how did you become involved with All the Right Grapes?
Well, I met Derek about 8 years ago when I founded a wine tasting group, and we found ourselves to be like-minded and established a good friendship. My background actually is in corporate real estate, where I worked for 30 years. I was ready for a change, and last April I joined as a partner All the Right Grapes. So my background in wine is really as an educated consumer, and I decided to apply that passion and my business background into this new venture.
Superb. Now, how would you describe the philosophy of the portfolio that you have?
That's always an interesting question because we do get asked that a lot, and I don't know if there is per se a philosophy as there is an evolution of likes and interests. I said earlier, sherry, Spain, and Rioja is where I learned about wine, where I lived for a little while. That's where my contacts are. That's where my passion is. Those are the wines that I like to drink, and by extension, French and German. We have some German in the portfolio as well, and the portfolio grew as a result of personal interests and connections, more than with a specific philosophy in mind. Although I will say that a lot of the winemakers that we do represent are smaller producers, artisanal producers. We are not dogmatic about natural wines per se, but we do like family-owned businesses where the winemaker, is involved and brings their passion into the product that they put in the bottle.
Well, I think the philosophy of the agency, All the Right Grapes, is very well put forward. Just looking at the three wines we have in front of us and the ones we've been tasting today, would you mind speaking just for a moment to each of these? Because I think it neatly sums up the kind of ideas, the kind of philosophy that you're speaking about there.
Sure. Well, the first one is a sherry from Equipo Navassos. Equipo Navassos being one of the more important sherry negociants, really. That have started 10 years ago to rekindle some of the interest that we're seeing in the restaurants now with sherries. And Equipo Navassos are essentially, I said it, negociants who look for interesting barrels from interesting soleras that they bottle as individual and unique products. Sherry to me is one of the most undervalued wines and products on the market. They're great with any kind of food, and I'm just a great supporter, if you will, of sherry, and it will always feature prominently in the portfolio, even though we know it's still a difficult sell.
Is it still such a difficult sell after all these years?
Yeah, it is. I would say it is. I mean, we preach to the converted a lot, which means there's a handful of top restaurants and chefs and somms in the city that know and understand sherry and know all the good things about it. There's a handful of private clients, but there's still many restaurants that like it, but are afraid that they can't sell it to their clients because they just don't know how to treat it or what to do with it. And public perception is still one of an old-fashioned sweet drink, and we're trying so hard to get away from that.
Well, you have been Toronto's preeminent ambassador for sherry for so many years now. It's interesting to see. I thought we had evolved a little when it came to our appreciation of sherry, but it's interesting to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Well, we certainly have. I mean, maybe I'm speaking too negatively, but we have evolved. It's better than it ever has been, no question.
Right.
But there is a ceiling. And I'm not sure if we can really ever grow beyond the core where we do well with the sherries and the restaurants that know it. I don't know. Time will tell.
And we tasted an absolutely stunning vermouth there. I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about that.
I love the whole mixology and cocktail scene, even though I know nothing about it personally, and I've sort of started educating myself only in the last little while. I really fell in love with vermouth, and it's really a similar type of style drink as sherry is, in a very different way. But the similarities are there, and I was looking for something that was interesting and different from the vermouths that we see in the market. When I was on hiatus in Europe, I came across Belsazar, which was a very popular product in Holland and Germany and in the UK. It's a German-based vermouth. The company is founded in Berlin, but based on eau de vie and base wines from Baden. And the individual styles of vermouth are based on German varietal wines. This white that we tasted specifically, Gewürztraminer base, which gives it, a lovely floral and pungent Gewürztraminer nose that you would expect from a white wine, but in a vermouth that just makes it so interesting and so eminently, tasteable, if you will. To not even mix with, but just drink neater as a spritz. And I think the range of Belsazar it's done well for us. Is just a top quality product.
Now, excuse my ignorance here. Is it usual practice for a producer to specify a single grape varietal when it comes to the base wine for their vermouth?
Not necessarily. Most base wines are made of very, very low quality base wine, and most of the Spanish vermouths, and we carry some in the portfolio too, would be base wines made of Iran.
Yes, yeah.
So not necessarily, but these guys have specifically focused on some German varieties to give it a little bit more of a unique flavor profile and aroma, and I think it's really worked.
Very cool. Now, this third wine here, Alex, this actually comes to All the Right Grapes through a connection through some old friends of mine. Would you mind telling us the story about this red wine?
Indeed, I was in New York with my daughter, who's a millennial, and she introduced me to a bar in Brooklyn, and where they specialize in natural wines. And I went there, and I was the oldest person in the bar. And
I'm sure I would be the oldest person in the bar.
and I am not dogmatic about natural or biodynamic. Good wine is good wine, and love the product. And perhaps it's a good reflection of, if not our philosophy, one of our traits in our company, which is we have a consumer approach to wines. If we think it's good, it over-delivers. Either it's a best-in-class wine or it's a wine that for the money delivers much more quality. We're very interested. I've always been a fan of Languedoc and Roussillon, generally southern French wines. This one just fit the bill, and we're delighted that there's been great acceptance in the market. And
quite an interesting name and label there.
Well, yes, it's in the language of Occitan. It means the opium from here. Therefore, the poppies on the label.
Yeah, fantastic wine. And how have things been going since the agency was first founded? How has your expansion and evolution gone?
I would say it's gone well. Irrespective of the constraints that our market has, and we've been operating now in earnest. We're coming up on basically our 1 year mark right now. It's last summer that I really seriously started marketing and building the portfolio, and so we're 1 year in. Still waiting for consignment space, but our numbers indicate that we're very well on our way. And we're finding good acceptance with our portfolio in the top restaurants, both in Toronto and Ottawa. We're doing really well in Ottawa as well. And we're growing from there. We've hired a few people. We're trying to expand, and yeah. These are wines that belong in good establishments, and I think we're getting there.
Superb. Alex and Derek from All the Right Grapes, thank you very much for sharing these wines with us today, and all the best.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye for now.